Okay, here we are. Here we go. Good morning and hello, everybody. This is Dave Finale with Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 298. Today is every week is a special episode. We have done these for 295 weeks in a row. Haven't missed a week. We're going to keep going. We keep getting better and better, and having a lot more fun. Today, I have the one and only, the real estate realtor in my estimation. If you've ever been a basketball fan or a baseball fan, you'll notice that there's a logo. The logo in the NBA is Jerry West. The logo in Major League Baseball, believe it or not, is Harmon Killebrew. I've had the lovely time to have spent a lot of time with Harmon Killebrew in my life. And I want to tell you that if there was going to be an icon like that, it would be Mr. Anthony Lamacchia as it right there as the silhouette. Jerry West, Harmon Killebrew. Welcome, Anthony.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for saying that. I don't really agree. There's a lot of people that have been at it longer than me and done more than me, but I guess I'm coming up in the world of real estate in some ways. So I appreciate the kind words and honored to be on here with you
Great.
from the bottom of a ski slope, by the way.
I know, right? And that's dedication. And look, that's logo for me, man. Anyway, let's hit the quick intro video. Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. Again, good morning, everybody. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF episode 298 with the one, the only Anthony Lamacchia, to me, the icon in the real estate business in the 21st century. Because of what you've done and who you are and how you run your business and the sincerity and the guts and just the passion that you do it, man. I love it. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I got to start it with the typical question I ask everybody, and then we're going to get into your story and everything else. Anthony, what does TGIF stand for?
Well, I mean, the term that I know, it stands for Thank God It's Friday, but I don't agree because Friday's the least favorite day of the work week for me. I like Monday.
Well, no, I understand that too. I love Mondays. I mean, look, we're in real estate business. We work every day. So I hear everybody say, oh, it's Friday. It's Friday. Well, actually, it means thank God it's finale. That's what it means, TGIF, for this.
I like it. I like it.
So anyway, man, look, there's so much going on, but there's so important about where you came from. You know, everybody can watch the videos you've done about the lawsuits and your business and crush it in real estate, which is phenomenal stuff that you've got there all the time, the training and everything that you do. But where did you come from, man? Where did you get the passion, and how did the passion grow in you to get to this point in your real estate career?
Well, I've always been very passionate about business. Growing up, working with my dad, landscaping. And then by the time I was a teenager, we started to get into landscape construction and hardscape. So the idea of building business and getting into new things and learning new things and mastering them and learning sales processes and managing people, I was doing all of that by my teenage years. And I'm grateful to my dad for that. You know, I never would be where I am if I had a normal dad working a normal job. You know, my dad is an entrepreneur and had a small business, and I grew up in the small business world. And that gave me big ambitions. And then when I was a little after I turned 21, I started buying properties. And then by the time I was 23, I got a real estate license and said, I think I'd be a pretty good realtor. And by the time I was 25, I was selling a lot of homes and started hiring people to help me keep up. And then I built a small team, larger team, and then converted us to a brokerage model. And here we are today.
You know, and I truly believe that the reason for your success is the care and the love and the passion you put into the people that you work with and the people you work for, as far as selling thousands of homes, as well as the agents that work with you. And it has a lot to do with training. It has a lot to do with coaching. It has a lot to do with all this stuff, mentoring as well. And I think people look at those three things: training, mentoring, and coaching as something that's essential to different kinds of businesses. And they're all different stuff, but they all work really well. And they're all based on if you're going to do a really good job at it, one of the things I've learned is you really need to be as caring as possible. So, you've like I said, you've been around for a while. You've done really, really well in this business. You helped a lot of people. But lately, we've got a change in this business coming across, and it's all about this lawsuit that has come about over the last year, I guess, and it's been brewing for a long time, and what I'm going to say ignorance that came from the plaintiffs' attorneys, et cetera, but it's all going to mean a change forward. You've reported on the whole thing from day one. You had a debate with Michael Ketchmark, and you did, and then you rounded it all up with a lot of different things that you've done. And I think it all comes down to what we're talking about as far as coaching and training. But if you would tell us, where do you think that this lawsuit and everything else is going to be, and problems with what has been said out in the public?
Well, I could go on and on about it all day, but let me jump back first to your earlier point about training. Our company did not scale and did not begin to explode until we started offering training to our realtors every single week in the summer of 2012. Were we doing a lot of business? Yes. 2012, I had a team of 8 people. We sold, 512 listings and 49 buyer sides in 2012 when we were a team model. Those are obviously very good numbers, but true scale and true growth that isn't dependent on me making the business rain, much of that came from training and putting training on for our realtors every single week. And then by 2016, thanks to a friend of mine down in Virginia, I started offering training out to other brokerages through Crush It in Real Estate. And at the time, it wasn't even Crush It in Real Estate. It was Real Training and Systems. And the reason that I ended up doing that was he's a great friend down in Virginia. And he says, well, if you're training your agents to close nearly 10% of Zillow leads, why can't we get my agents the same training? And we offered it over Skype. And then the training business was born just like that, thanks to my friend Ashley. So, it's critically important. And let me tell you, I find it very interesting that how things go full circle. Capitalism has a way of getting everybody back in check. As well as I do, or maybe better, that the last 4 or 5 years in the business, especially with the 2 years after COVID, things got so hot and so crazy that it really just came down to who could run the fastest. What agent could run the fastest, show the most homes, write the most offers, and serve the most people, and they could sell a shitload of homes. And now we're entering back into an area where you actually need to have some skills. You need to know what you're doing. You need to, and I'm not saying that realtors didn't have to have any skills. I'm exaggerating that a little. But the point I'm getting at is you didn't need as many skills in the last 4 or 5 years. And now we're back into like an 06, 07, 08 period. Difference, obviously. We don't have high inventory. Prices are still high. Prices aren't going down for the most part. But at that time, I know you remember, you had to know what you were doing to survive. So now we're entering a period that you just brought up where we're about to go into, what kind of change exactly is going to happen? I don't know. But there's going to be change. That's clear. The Department of Justice made themselves clear. The government gets their wish to some extent all the time when they want it. So as these changes happen, now local owners are going to have to go back to doing what they had to do years ago, which was actually train their agents, have the right forms, have the right documents, have compliance. Be compliant. Make sure that agents are following the right processes. Agents are going to have to actually attend training and learn and take it serious. And if they don't, they're going to get stung, and their clients are going to get stung. And clients are going to smell that, and they're going to realize it. And that's what's going to get people more turned on to, realtors more turned on to, okay, this is serious business. I got to be serious about what's to come. And I'm happy to elaborate on that, but I wanted to bring those 2 points together for you first.
So we all know that what happened in the lawsuit, and then DOJ came out with a statement, I think on February 15th, which you also quite eloquently went through the entire thing. One of the things that I thought that I felt was that DOJ was trying to make sense out of the lawsuit and kind of like say, hey, dude, you weren't actually correct, and there's some bullshit in what you said and what happened. and they're going to try to sort it out in a way. And I think one of the problems, and I'm going to put another point in here, so I don't mean to put it together, but it's very important. We're talking about training. And I think that one of the biggest mistakes that has been made throughout the industry, and I've seen it time and time again, and I saw it last week. Don't worry, the seller pays your commission. It's free for you as the buyer, right? Isn't that a basis of what the problem stems from, Anthony?
I don't know if that's the basis of what it stems from, but I do feel that agents shouldn't be saying that. And, one of the tough parts of our business is there's 1.6 million realtors. There's 2.5 million licensees across the country. When you have an industry that big with that many people, you are bound to have some people that say things the wrong way, explain things the wrong way, sales pitch it in their own version of how they do it, and hey, that's capitalism. People are allowed to do that, but agents shouldn't be saying that. And when they say that, they play into the argument of the folks on the plaintiff side that say, well, why is the seller paying for it? I mean, Dave, the funny thing is, and you know this, the debate's been going on for 100 years. Who really pays the commission? Well, in my opinion, buyers pay everything, because without a buyer bringing money to the table, there's no money. There's no money. So, Michael Ketchmark and the other plaintiffs' attorneys, I mean, he's the most public. He's obviously the talker on that side. He says, tell me, in the debate, tell me another industry, Anthony, tell me another industry that a seller pays the buyer commission, or one side pays the other side, blah, blah, blah. And I actually regret not answering that direct at the moment, right, because I was tied up in answering other things. But how about when you go to get a loan, Dave? When you and I go to get a mortgage, or we go to borrow money, the lender literally says, hey, you got to work with, you can hire your own attorney, but this is going to be the closing attorney. And oh, by the way, you're going to pay the closing attorney, and you're going to pay our title exam. You're going to pay our title insurance. And what do people do? What do people do? I bet if we looked up Ketchmark and his wife's, when they bought their house years ago, I bet they did the same thing, wrote the same checks. So, some of that stuff gets a little confused. But agents, to go back to your point, they shouldn't be saying that. They should be clear with buyers that, hey, you're contributing to this. It's coming from the proceeds of the sale, as listing agents should as well.
So here's a crazy question, right? So I in listening to you and reading this stuff as much as possible, and watching your videos and watching how you brought it forth, and looking at all the other things that I read, one of the things, the big word that comes out to me, Anthony, is the word ignorance, right? And the reason the word ignorant means unlearned. And I don't like calling names of people, but I believe this entire lawsuit is based from someone, as you said in the debate. It's ignorance, and I believe what we saw in the debate, especially, was what I like to call cocky ignorance. Right? It's beyond comprehension how someone could be that ignorant of an industry and go forth and really hurt him. What do you think about that? Am I wrong? Am I off base there?
No, you're right. And I've said that from the beginning. And I said it in my latest video that I did last week. And my videos, everything I've done can be found on recases.com. And I said it last week. Look at the Department of Justice's statement. And there's lots of parts I disagree with, and their ignorance to certain things. But look what they said at the end, and I give them a lot of credit. There's two things I give them credit for in that filing. One of them is they picked apart the lawyer fees in the MLS Nozelek case. And they said, hey, based on our back of the envelope math, it looks like the so-called victims, the class plaintiffs, are going to get $5.87 a piece, right? $5.87. So what bothers me so greatly about this case is these lawyers, they know everything with all their degrees and everything, right? They're coming in and they're saying the industry's wrong. We're picking the pocket of people, this and that, and then they catch their words. Oh, well, I don't mean the realtors. I mean the corporate titans. I mean NAR. Ketchmark caught himself with that in the debate a couple times. But they're saying all those things. They're wrong on a lot of their facts. And they're still going to rip off millions of dollars. I mean, look at right now. The settlement at this moment between the companies that have already settled, KW, Remax, Anywhere, the settlement pot's up to $208 million. Okay. And they still got home services and NAR to go. And I don't know if they're going to settle or if they're going to fight till the bloody end, which is what I hope they do. But they're already up to $208 million. Even if the judge hacks them down to 20%, the lawyers are walking away with 20% of $208 million that they're going to split up when they're wrong on many things. Think about mortgages. Okay. Oh, well, he said on CNBC, and I hate to keep mentioning him. It's not a personal thing with him, and I actually respect the guy in many ways. But he's the one that talks on that side, and I've turned into the one that is more willing to talk on the side of the industry. And oh well, down payment assistance. He says, Anthony, at the end of the debate, down payment assistance can help with these fees. Down payment assistance. It explicitly says you can't include commissions, and down payment assistance is not meant to pay commissions. And even if you could, it's going to eat up what the assistance is made for, which is to put money down. Okay. And then they say, oh, well, the mortgage companies, maybe they could change the guidelines. No, the guidelines are very clear right now. You can't take commission and plop it on top. And VA is even more strict about it. And so I said that to the attorney on the phone. I said it in the debate. No one's going to get hurt here more than home buyers. But I'll tell you something, I'll add to that. Home sellers as well. One of the things we're seeing now, Dave, and I'm kind of going all over the road here. Sorry, but right, one of the things we're starting to see properties pop up that are listed with zero cooperating brokerage compensation.
I've seen it already.
And guess what? I don't have data to prove it yet. Give me 90 days, I will. But most of those homes aren't selling. And they're not selling for the reason that I mentioned in a recent debate that I did with RIS Media. When a buyer sees or hears, well, on that house, I'd have to work with you. If an agent says, I'd have to work with you to get my compensation because that house isn't offering it. Most buyers say, yeah, I don't want to see the house. The agent has a fiduciary duty to talk to the buyer about what is going on with that property. And if a buyer is going to have to come out of pocket for that specific property, they have an obligation to tell the buyer, not after the offer or purchase and sales agreement is accepted, before. So, there's intricacies, there's fiduciary duties. Fiduciary duties are a very intricate thing. They're a very important thing. Us brokers, this, us agents, realtors have an obligation to be transparent, to be forthright, to tell people what's in their best interest. Listing brokers have to tell their sellers what's in their best interest. Buyers agents have to explain everything to the buyers. And some of these folks on the other side, including some of the naysayers with no real estate licenses that write blogs, oh, that's steering, this is steering.
That's bullshit.
Agents have an obligation to explain certain things to their buyers. Now, I totally agree that an agent shouldn't be directing their buyer in different directions based on compensation. That's not right. But the masses of realtors are not doing that. The buyers are driving the process. So when you talk about ignorance, you are right. They want to make it so the buyer pays. So in the end of this, okay, buyers are going to have to come out of pocket. What does that mean? That means there's going to be less buyers being represented. There's going to be more unrepresented buyers. That's problematic for buyers. That's problematic even for sellers because it brings up more litigations and more problems. I could go on all day.
Yes, you could. As we could be on here all day, but then again, you wouldn't get back to the slopes. So let me ask you this question, right? So it's all, to me, it's all based on the training that never was done or should have been done and what has to be done moving forward. And you said it in one of I think you said it in many of your videos, talking about this is where you need to pay attention. Brokers, broker managers, broker owners, but team leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Basically what you said, I'm going to say, is get off your ass and start really working with the people and understand that there's several things they have to worry about and do really, really well is talk about buyer representation and value, right? So it's all about value. It's all about buyer representation. This way, that issue of that zero compensation doesn't matter because they've already got the buyer representation. They know how it's done. You agree with that?
Well, yes, you're right about that. And the thing is, if we get to a place where it's across the board and no houses, no sellers. I mean, look at the DOJ. They didn't just say they don't want mention of it in MLS. They said they don't want sellers offering it. I think that's a tall order. I don't really see how a judge or lawmakers are going to take away the right of a seller to offer compensation, but they might get their wish in not having an MLS. Well, if it happens across the board, then we're not in as uneven of a playing field. Then everyone's dealing with it. All the sellers are hearing about it, and they even went so far as to say, and I do give the DOJ credit for this, that, hey, buyers can submit it in their offer and ask sellers to pay their agent. Fine. But when it comes to training, okay, agents that haven't been taking training serious, broker owners who haven't been providing anything for training for their agents for years, now they're going to get a wake-up call. Because broker owners, now you need to actually know how to explain to your agents to do this. And this is the kind of thing that can get screwed up. Agents can make mistakes. I mean, the agents are human beings, just like lawyers, right? I mean, lawyers, plenty of good lawyers out there, but plenty of good doctors, but there's also people that screw things up. So the agents are going to need training. They're going to need scripts and dialogues. They're going to need specific language to put in their contracts. They're going to need forms. They're going to need these things. And brokerages should be starting to train on it now. The what ifs. What if it goes down this road? What if it goes down that road? What about the other thing that's happening, Dave? Everybody in the whole country now is getting postcards in the mail that say, if you sold your house in the last 5 years, you may be entitled to compensation. Now, they don't put in there that it might end up being $5 or $20. They don't put that in. They leave that out. But now agents are having to deal with sellers, or I shouldn't even say sellers, homeowners that are like, hey, what's this postcard? Am I due some money? And it's another example of the lawyers getting themselves in the middle, right, and causing havoc on our industry, but they're causing havoc on purpose because they want everybody to cave, because they want to collect as much money as possible, because this is, when they talk about, realtors picking pockets, no one's picking pockets more here than the plaintiffs' attorneys in these cases. And you can quote me on that, put it in every news agency you want. I don't give a damn. It's the truth.
So, okay, so let's go back to the DOJ thing, right? Which and I want to clarify something that I heard and that I read. And one of the things was the current practice of sellers offering compensation. Couldn't that still, if the DOJ gets involved, couldn't that still be the same thing, but also worded differently? I mean, what it looks like is that we could go in and say, okay, they could put it on top of their offer. We're offering you X amount of dollars, and it splits up this way. Whatever the compensation to the selling agent is, and we're going to get a 2%, 3%, 18%, whatever it is for the buyer commission that is included in this offer. What is wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that? Because it seemed like they alluded to it in their document. Of course
they did. And again, and on that part, those two things, picking on the attorney's fees and saying that is okay by them, I think that was kind of them sending a sign to the marketplace that, hey, we're not against realtors getting paid. And I think that was good of them. But do I think that's good for home buyers and good for the industry? No, I don't, because it's going to create more unrepresented buyers. It also creates two negotiations. Now the brokers are going to be negotiating their fee and negotiating on behalf of the buyer. It's going to scare more buyers. It's going to make more buyers feel like, wait, what's this? Well, maybe I shouldn't have you. But if that's how it goes and it's across the board, fine. It is what it is. I can't control that. But I'll tell you, the period of time getting there, Dave, that's where I see a big problem. I see the transitional period where all of a sudden there's random houses now that aren't offering it because these sellers have been seen the news and they think that's the right thing to do. Well, many of them are going to find out the hard way. It's not going to be so easy to sell because a lot of buyers aren't going to want to see their home if the buyer has to worry about paying their agent, right? So this in-between time is going to be tricky. But look, if that's how it goes later and that becomes the law or the rule or the way things work, realtors are going to have to deal with it, and they're going to have significant training on it, significant training on dealing with it. But I do not believe that any buyers will be better off because of that. But who will be better off? Ready for this? Okay. Who will be better off is the plaintiffs' attorneys that went around suing everybody and making noise in the media and driving misconceptions all over the place. They're going to walk away with millions of dollars. But buyers in the end, VA buyers, first-time buyers, they're going to have a hard time. I bought my first home 22 years ago when I was 20 years old. Okay. My daughter, I'm skiing with her today. That's why I'm dressed like this. Me and 3 of my 4 kids are skiing. I came off the slope to do this. I'm looking at my daughter thinking she's almost 17. 3-4 years. I want her to be able to experience home ownership. right? Is she going to come out of her pocket to write a check to someone? Most 20-year-olds, 22, 24, they're going to say, where's the path of least financial resistance? Right? So all these consumer advocates that were screaming in the 90s that buyers deserve someone on their side, buyers deserve representation, buyers are owed fiduciary duties. I want to know, Dave, where are they? Where are they? Because now these people are acting like they are the ones for consumers, and I don't think they are.
Do you think that is it a possibility that this will cause a separation of agents where, the ones that are in it for part-time, or, they'll sell a house every now and then, compared to the ones that are in it for a serious career? Is it going to make a true separation?
Yes. And, it's interesting to me that some of the organizations on the other side are saying, oh, that's a good thing and this and that. So I find that to be a little bit contradicting. Find me a business that is more competitive than real estate. I said that in the debate. You probably saw it. Find me one. If I want to have windows done at my house, maybe there's 10 companies I can call. I want to have my driveway done, maybe there's 4. I want to sell my home. There's 9,000 realtors in Greater Boston. So the amount of realtors, I agree. I do think what you said, the amount of realtors will substantially decrease, or at least decrease, because the part-timers and people like that, they're going to have a harder time navigating that. Will that help our industry in some ways? Probably. I'm not going to deny that.
Right.
But is that a good thing overall? Is that good for consumers? I'm not convinced it is in every way. And I'll also say it decreases the amount of choices that consumers have.
Yeah, you know what, choice? I talk about choice all the time, and people say, I say there's always too much choice in our lives. And people say, well, I don't think so. I said, well, go into a paint store and then come back and tell me there's choices, right? So anyway, look, so we've got the different agents coming out. Is this I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry about that.
I know you wanted to talk a little bit about our business and what I see with the market, so I'm happy to talk about that if you'd like.
So let's go there. Let's talk about your business. Talk about the market. Talk about where we're going to move forward to with that. Let's go there.
Well, we as a company, last year we experienced our first year that we were down by transactions. We were down 3%. The average of the markets that we're in were down about 24%. So we beat the market by 21%. Our revenue was up. Our sales volume was up. But there's no denying this is a very hard time in the real estate business. I saw Lawrence Yoon yesterday at a National Association event. And I said, Lawrence, this situation, this time we're in, is a reminder of how addicted our business is to interest rates. We are. And what's interesting this time, and I said this to Lawrence as well, is I said, as of right now, the buyers really aren't the problem. It's the sellers. The sellers don't want to come off the sidelines. They don't want to give up their rate and trade for a lower rate. And that is making the business slower. But I am doing all I can, pretty much every waking hour I have, to take advantage of the situation. We're bringing a lot of new, great people into our organization. Right. We had 3 acquisitions last year. And I know I talked to you about this. We had an acquisition on Cape Cod in July. We had one in southeastern Massachusetts in August, and then another one in southeastern Massachusetts on the Rhode Island border in September. And we've got more coming up. It looks like we'll have another acquisition in March. We got one scheduled for April. So, and that's a great thing. I mean, being able to bring other great people into our organization, other great companies into our organization. And I want to point out, too, some people think of the market, they're like, oh, these companies you're acquiring, they must have been financially hurting. No, not in all cases. Some of them, they're just saying, hey, this is a tough market. And some of them have said, Anthony, you're a great trainer on this. We want to be able to take advantage of what the company has. We want to be a part, and we've brought them in, and they're so happy. So it just makes our mutual friend John Cheplak says, what does he say? We're raising the IQ. We're bringing in more great people. We're raising the average IQ in the organization, and that's an exciting thing. So that's been great.
Yeah. So with everything going on, I mean, our business is in a transition in and of itself without this issue we've been talking about, right? I mean, brokerages, look at the big brokerages. They're changing, right? They're getting the old Send It Realogy Anywhere brokers are getting smaller, right? I think there's a big change coming in to the way we're both involved in companies that are doing it similarly as far as coaching and training and making sure there's value there. That's going to continue to go. Do you believe that some of these big companies are going to acquiesce to that finally, or they're just going to keep going the way they're going and see what happens?
Well, I think that everybody is upping their training game. Those that are capable of doing it are upping their training game. And that's a good thing to see, because that's going to raise the average IQ, the average real estate IQ of everybody in the business. And that's a good thing. I also am seeing, I won't get into company names, but I'm seeing larger companies go to some of the agents that they gave fairy tale deals to recruit them 3 and 4 years ago. They're going to those agents saying, hey, look at that deal we did then, that deal's off the table. That down money we gave you, that upfront money that we paid you to join, that split that was 100%, or it's gone. And, that's a good thing for the industry, because some of those companies, they gave agents an unrealistic picture of what is possible.
I agree.
And I didn't participate in that. And I'll tell you, it wasn't easy not to, because we still grew 30 to 60% a year up until last year, but it wasn't easy not to participate in it. But now suddenly they're coming down to earth. And you know what? Agents are coming down to earth. Agents are realizing, and everybody across our industry is being humbled. Every person. Everybody. So, when you think of those plaintiffs' attorneys, their timing is good from the sense that they're hitting us at a time that we're all a bit in a weaker spot, but in a way their timing is bad, because they're not going to get nearly as much money. They're still going to get way more money than they should, but they're not going to get nearly what they would have if these things hit 3 and 4 years ago.
So a couple of quick hits with what's going on and everything, and what's the future of NAR? Stupid question, but I got to ask.
Let me answer this first. The future of our business is going nowhere. Okay, if someone, for the audience watching, if you're a realtor, I know Dave has a huge following across the country like I do. If you're watching, don't doubt that the real estate business is going away, or the need for realtors is going away. Do not doubt that 1 ounce. People need realtors. We're in a business that is both financial and emotional. So the business is going to come back. 4 million home sales last year. We're probably going to have 4 million again this year, which is about 20 to 25% below the annual average of 5.3 million annually for the last 25 years. But folks, my grandfather is gone, and he raised me. Him and my dad and my grandmother raised me. I had 3 parents, and my grandfather used to say, the bigger the boom, the bigger the bust. But the bigger the bust, the bigger the next boom. And, it's going to come back. It never stays. He also used to say, bad times never stay forever, and good times never stay forever. So we're going to come out of this. As far as NAR goes, we as an industry are going to come out of this. As far as NAR goes, I believe NAR will live on. The people that say things like we're going to topple NAR and we're going to, ruin them and all this bullshit. Listen, there's no National Association of Home Buyers. There's no National Association of Home Sellers. Okay, the Realtor Organization, the National Association of Realtors, does a tremendous amount of good work and good effort for home buyers, home sellers, tenants, landlords, and realtors for over 100 years. Are they in a tough spot right now? Yes. Are they under scrutiny? Yes. Are they getting pressured from all different sides? Yes, including me sometimes. I mean, I don't talk about my conversations with them, but you know me. I'm not shy. I think they could be more aggressive with their rhetoric. I've told them that. And the new president that just got sworn in, kind of all of a sudden, Mr. Kevin Sears, full disclosure, we're friends, but the guy's good. And it's a volunteer position. He's not the CEO, but he's the president. And he's going to be the president until we get to January 2026. He is more outspoken. He was on our Crushing in Real Estate stage 2 weeks ago. And, he made an off-the-cuff comment, the DOJ's pissed off at us. And, of course, it was all over the news. And my answer to that was, they are. They reneged on their deal. They made a deal with NAR in 2020, and when the new DOJ leaders came in under Biden, they undid the deal. And NAR sued them, and in some ways they won, and now there's argument about, what should be allowed and what shouldn't, and there's going to be a ruling coming out on that, and, should they have been able to do it? But NAR is fighting back, and they're in a tricky spot. When you have a membership of 1.6 million people, you get a lot of people that say, no, let's be nice, let's settle. And then you get people like me that say, fight to the goddamn end. We've been saving money for years. Realtors have been putting money into all these funds for years. Fight to the end. Fight against these fake cases that have fake plaintiffs, plaintiffs that were literally put together. Don't give in. So they're not in an easy spot. And being a leader, either on the staff side of that organization, I mean, imagine being the head of legal there, Katie. Katie's a great person. She's doing the best she can. But, her every day of her life for the last 15 years wasn't fighting litigations, at this magnitude. So this is a hard situation. But to answer your overall question, I don't think NAR is going to disappear. And I sure as hell hope it doesn't.
I don't think it will either. But you hear this all the time, though. But Anthony, we are up on time. I want to thank you so much. I got two things really quickly. First thing is, how do I help you grow your business?
Well, listen, you having me on your platform is obviously helping do that. You have a great following. You have a tremendous amount of knowledge about the business, and I thank you for having me on. We did have a scheduling conflict, and I said yes, and then I ended up booking a day of skiing with my kids. I told my kids I can't renege. I said I'd do it. So here I am in the car with my laptop. But for those that want to learn more about our business or follow me on Instagram, go ahead, AJ Lamacchia. I don't go by AJ, but that's just my initials there. And then LamacchiaRealty.com is our company. Crush It in Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, all those places. And then if you want to learn more specifics about the case and my blunt opinions, which you just got the gist of, log on to recases.com. There's a whole page on the Crush It website where all the videos are. And by the way, Dave, I'm dropping another video by Monday night, and I'll tease right on here with you what the name of the video is. The gist of it's going to be, what if the DOJ gets their wish? So my first video a week ago was, hey, here's what the DOJ wants. Here's the DOJ statement. Well, now I'm going to be going over what if. What does that mean when you're representing a buyer? What does that mean when you're representing a seller? What does that mean in the day-to-day for a realtor? That's going to drop Monday night.
Well, that's fantastic. And last and certainly not least, man, I got the hat for you. You got one. You were on episode 220. You got another one. We're going to get you this new edition out, the gray one out. Hey, man, thank you so much for being on. Next week, really quickly, everybody, we've got the one and only Kyle Whistler coming out of the Whistler Realty Group out in San Diego, California. He is an amazing guy. I love to call him friend. He is. And again, Anthony, thank you so much for coming on. If you can stay on for 1 second as we go off.
Well, and let me add, people shouldn't miss Kyle. Kyle's a good man, knows what he's doing. He'll talk a lot of business. When I used to come on interviews like this, everybody would ask me, how do you grow your business? It's not. Now everybody talks to me about the lawsuits. So tune into Kyle. He'll help you grow your business.
Well, I hope I talked a little bit about training, a little bit about Crush It in Real Estate, a little bit of that in there. Man, look, it's I wanted you on anyway, simply because you're like the hero. You're the hero for me in this business. You're the icon, as I said, man. I really appreciate you. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. We got Kyle coming on next week. Don't forget, you want to reach out to Anthony, you can do that. And we'll see you all next week. Just stay on one more second, Anthony. See you later. Hit the video, Nelson. Oh, we lost him. Okay.